What's going on, guys? Super excited to welcome you guys to the IQ11 Drive of the Week. I'm Coach Zach. I'll be taking you guys through a drive of the week. We'll be doing both offense and defensive drives of the week. Myself and Coach Pat are basically going to give you guys just a breakdown of some stuff we saw on tape that we really liked. We'll be covering NFL, NCAA, some Euro stuff, some CFL, maybe some UFL, maybe some X League, who knows. If you have any suggestions, let us know. We'd be more than happy to take a look at it and break it down for you guys. So, we're going to be doing our first drive here. I'll be doing a defensive stop that the Lions had against the Bills. This game came back in 2024. The Lions were, I believe, 12-2 at the time. The Bills were 11-3. Huge playoff implications, obviously. The Bills, kind of still knocking on that Super Bowl door. The Lions now as well kind of established themselves as, a big time player in the NFL. So, high octane matchup. Final of this was 48-42. The Bills ended up actually winning it, but the Lions did a great job on this in particular drive that we're going to get into on, holding them out. The Lions, their defensive coordinator at the time, Aaron Glenn, he's now the head coach of the New York Jets, and you get to see some stuff. They pretty much led the league in man coverage in 2024 too. So just a little nugget. We'll get into that, and let's get started. So first thing that I just want to kind of give a quick background. This is about the third quarter. The Bills, Josh Allen just did some of his magic work. Had a huge explosive, got down to about the 3-yard line. So the first play that we got, first and goal from, like I said, about the 3-yard line. The Bills come out in what looks like a 21 personnel. So 21 personnel, they got 2 running backs in the game. This guy right here, he's going to be a fullback. Some people might want to call him an H-back, tight end, whatever. I'm going to call him a running back. He's going to be running back number 1. And then obviously we have James Cook back here as the other running back. We've got our tight end here as well. I believe this is Dawson Knox. So we've got two running backs at tight end and 2 receivers up here. We got the X, and then we have the Z down here. Okay, so, but like I said, this is a defensive drive of the week. So what jumps out at me right away, we got what looks like some type of man coverage, right? These guys are locked up on each other on the outside. Looks like you've got maybe a safety nickel type body. He's going to be man up on the tight end. And then this linebacker and this linebacker are going to be responsible for these 2 cats out of the backfield. So depending on what the Bills want to do on first down, these 2 are going to have to hash out if he goes to this flat, if he goes to this flat, and there's going to have to be some communication that takes place, because if this guy decides to drive all the way out to this side and this flat, this guy's going to take him. If he decides he's going to go out to this flat, now he's responsible for him. So let's take a quick look, see kind of what the play looks like, and we'll get into it. Okay, so it looks like off rip, it looks like the Bills are running some type of, I would call it a Q power. You're pulling the backside tackle right here, Mr. 73. Pulling the backside tackle, you're leaving this defensive end untouched. And Josh has his eyes right on these defensive ends. So what the defensive end does really well here is, he's crashing this mesh point, but he does a good job of not getting too tight. When he sees that tackle leave, he's going to try and get really tight to this guard. But as soon as that tackle leaves, he gets into that gap, he makes it tough, and he does just enough to impact this play, right? He forces James Cook to kind of bounce this outside and allows this linebacker to come over here and make a play on first and goal. A couple things to note, okay? So what coverage was it? I was correct. Looks like we have some type of cover 0. You see this fullback right here. As soon as he goes to the flat, this linebacker is responsible. And now this linebacker, he's responsible for the back, so you can kind of see him mirror the back's path, and he's able to come meet him out here as well. Same thing with the tight end. Tight end expands. He's going out to the flat. He's probably trying to bring this defensive back out of the box, help them create this kind of running lane right here. And boom. Linebacker makes a good play in space. Boys come and rally. Good stop on first and goal. Okay, let's take a look at it from the back end. Okay, so Looks like we've got, I'm going to call these ones. You can sit here and argue with me, call them 2I. I'll be down. We got some 3s here. And then we've got a couple 5s out here. Okay. So we've got 6 guys on the line of scrimmage. That leaves 5 other guys to be in coverage. So he's down here. Like we said, we have the Z down here and the X up top. So those guys are taken away. And then you've got these 2 guys, like I said, to hash out these these running backs. What's surprising about this play? It looks like if this guy, it looks like 73 right here, he's wrapping for this defensive end. Looks like if Joshua just kept this ball, he'd have had a good look at 6 points right here, especially with this linebacker tracking this running back and this linebacker tracking the fullback out of the backfield. But, you know, the Lions will take it. They'll take a stop on 1st and goal. Let's get to 2nd down. 2nd down, Lions come out in a very similar looking defense. The Bills under center shake it up a little bit. First thing I notice when I'm looking at it, especially from a defensive standpoint, they've got this big boy in the game right here. So add an extra offensive lineman. I'm going to call this, he's technically a tight end. We also have our other tight end right here as well. So I'm going to call this like a 12 jumbo package. So the Bills come out in this 12 jumbo. They have their X down here. They have their Z at the top. And then they've got their running back here in the backfield. Like I said, the Lions come out in a very similar look. We've got man up here. We've got man eyes up here. This tight end is down in this. He's inside this jumbo tight end, but you can still see we got a stand-up guy right here. It looks like he's manned up there. And then we've got this linebacker manning up this running back. So another look at a cover 0. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we got 7 on the line. However, they added this jumbo O lineman, so this linebacker is going to be responsible for him. Let's watch the play. They motion him over. First thing I notice, these guys are talking to each other right here. This is great. This is great. This is teach tape right here, how to communicate. Okay, he says, hey, my guy left. Okay, he goes, you got him, I'll replace, and I'll take the running back. If he motions out to this flat, he's got to take him, right? He's got to take him. If they add this lineman to this side, they just created another gap. So then the Bills would be +1 in the run game on this side of the field. So he goes, hey, you got to bump over here. I'll take your gap responsibility in here, and you got to flush out with this offensive lineman. Snap it on the fly. As you can see, he's carrying this out to the flat. He gets back here, and now he's running back responsible. As the running back expands, he starts to come back the field with him. Obviously, Josh is starting to boot out of the pocket, so he's trailing him this way. On the top, you know, we've got a little delay, little delay out route, little delay arrow route by the receiver up on the top of the screen. DB does a great job. Doesn't buy the fake. Keeps good technique. Doesn't turn his shoulders. Doesn't turn his hips. He's able to recover. Make this a tight window for Josh to put him on. Josh makes a good ball, but not good enough. Get a good stop on 2nd and goal. Okay. From the back end, yeah, it looks like the Bills are running. The O-line's selling a little bit of, you know, what would kind of be like an outside zone here. Josh opens to this side, gets everybody to flow to the defense's right, and then they're going to, you know, kind of boot away, and they're going to try and get this quick flat route. He's going to help out in the protection, and then he's going to come on a back line, kind of drag. But the Lions do a great job. Everybody's accounted for. They do a good job communicating when the lineman goes in motion, and then DB makes a great play outside. Okay, next play. They do false start on this play, so we're not going to get too in depth on this one. False starts in the red zones are killers for offense. So, you know, not jumping off sides, not giving them free yards down there is huge. So Lions catch a break here. They hold their water, get a false start. they move the Bills back to what's going to be a 3rd and goal from about the 6-yard line. So Bills come out. They've still got a tight end here. They've still got a running back here. So they're just in 11 personnel. They're in 11 personnel, but they are in empty, and they are in some type of quads. So you kind of see this little bunch right here by these guys. They got Shakur out here, and then they've got the running back on the top of the screen. So, Joe Brady, he's their head coach now. He's the offensive coordinator at this time. He does a lot of stuff with motions. He does a lot of stuff with rub routes. He does a lot of really good creative things to, get guys like Shakur and the running backs open in space. And especially down here in the red zone, you're expecting man. You just saw 2 back-to-back cover 0 plays. You can kind of expect, another similar look here on 3rd and goal. However, from the defensive perspective, first thing you notice, right, they changed their personnel as well, right? So they've got now 1, 2, 3, 4 guys on the line of scrimmage. You've got what probably is the nickel up here on the running back. You've got the corner down here. You've got DB, linebacker, and another DB. So, you've got more DBs on the field. You got a little lighter bodies. Especially in this type of personnel, this type of formation, you want coverage guys more on the field, and let these big boys up front, handle the run game. Josh is that dynamic, especially as a runner in the red zone. So you've got to account for that as well. Okay, so the Bills motion in Shakur right here. Like we just saw on the last play, these guys do a great job communicating, right? So they're in some type of man, right? So you think you got this guy on man, he's responsible here, he's responsible here, he's here, he's here. He's probably in some type of spy. He's going to hold down this middle hole right here, and he's going to spy Josh. For what reasoning I was just talking about, if Josh was to, QB draw this thing, or, they're going to run Q counter or Q sweep out to this side, weak side Q sweep. They want somebody, attached to Josh so he can make a play in space. And then they're going to have this safety who's kind of going to roam this middle hole right here. He's going to help out wherever he seems fit. If they do some type of mesh, if they do some type of rub route down here, he's going to be kind of the cleanup guy to help assist in this process. So let's get back to this. They motion in number 10. What you notice, like I said, you notice these guys communicating right here. What they're saying basically is, hey, he's coming in. We're expecting him to probably come through this bunch, so I'm going to take him. It's going to be nearly impossible for this guy to follow number 10 all the way across this formation. So he goes, hey, let me take him. You take my guy. So now he's here, and now he's here. They bring him in. Bills run some type of mesh concept here. They're bringing 10 over. They're bringing 18 over. They're widening here. They're trying to get a quick rub for the tight end, trying to get this guy and this DB in the way of this DB, free up the tight end. And then they're trying to run 2 crossers across to free up the running back coming back this way. Trying to get this running back in this hole. Josh's progression probably is 1 to 2 back over here. So the Lions do a great job here getting Josh off his spot. A few things to note that the Lions do here. Unlike the first 2 plays, they come out in a little bit of different front. They got a 4-down front here. They're in some type of man look as well, but they do have a safety back here in this hole. So they're doing some type of cover 1 hole. They've got this Mike linebacker. He's spying Josh. And the Bills really just do a great job of trying to create confusion with this mesh. They're going to bring 10 in through here. They're going to bring him on a crossing route. They're bringing the running back to this side. They're going to bring 18 across as well. So the Bills are trying to cause confusion. They know they're going to get man pressure down here. So the Lions, in my opinion, do a great job by getting pressure, and they do so by doing this stunt up front. So if we get to the end zone copy of it, you see right here, we're going to have a tech stunt. These 2 D tackles are going to go outside, and they're going to bring the defensive ends on inside loops underneath. And if you watch on the right side is really where they get good penetration They get this right guard to attach to this D tackle. He gets caught up on that and allows the DN to really get inside here and pressure Josh to force him off his spot. Makes Josh make a tough throw, and in the back end, the Lions do a great job of covering everybody on man. A few things in the secondary I want to note. These guys do a great job down here. This corner talking to this safety, passing this off. He takes 10. He now has 18. They're switching man responsibilities. Great communication in real time. And I think this is just a tribute to, what Dan Campbell's built on this Lions defense. Aaron Glenn was their defensive coordinator at this time. He's now the head coach of the New York Jets. And, defenses like this is what gets you head coaching jobs in the NFL.